So strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skitty.
G'day and welcome to the Inside AFL Show. I'm your host, the Horse, the SuperCoach Horse. And with me today, a staple so far of the 2025 AFL SuperCoach season, Deadly. Welcome back, mate.
G'day. How are we? Going good?
Yeah, good, mate. For those of you listening on audio, I'll have to describe this to you, but Deadly today has a background that states in loving memory of Mateus Philipou's SuperCoach relevance, 2024 to 2025. Tell me the story behind that, mate. Do you think he's worth a fade until mid-year now, or whether we pick him up at all?
I've seen reports that he'll be back in round 4. You can probably wait till at least round 6, 7 now.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that point, who knows? It's pretty early on in the season. You can probably avoid it, but you know, you want to see how he goes coming back from the injury in the midfield. You want the role to stay there. And if you're not starting with him, you may as well just wait.
100%. Wise words, my friend. Now that he's not going to start the year, and remember, they've got to play 3 games before they get a price rise, it is well and truly worth waiting on someone like this. But today, we are talking about rookies, who to start, who to fade, and who we think you need to keep your eye on. So before we get going, like, subscribe, bell. We call it being the triple banger. We love it. But also subscribe to us on audio and leave us a 5-star review if you love our stuff. We would really appreciate that and would help us get out to the broader community when we're talking SuperCoach. We've also got a Discord if you like talking footy. The link is in the description below. You can click on that and get involved there. Now, before we start talking rookies, Deadly, we've got an unlimited league that people can join.
We do.
It is 356-460. It is free to join. And if you get the top score each week, you get a prize pack thanks to the guys at the Standard Squeeze. So it's free to enter and you win shit. Anything better?
Yeah, we can't go wrong. May as well just enter.
Yeah, you may as well just enter. That's right.
Yeah.
So 356-460. It is free to enter. Jump in, have a crack. There are some pretty high-profile names in that league. We've got Damo from the Footy Mailbag. We've got the Skodfather himself. It is going to be a jam-packed league, so you can compare yourself to other legends in the AFL SuperCoach world. Now, let's get started, mate. When we're talking rookies, we're talking players, not so much that are first-year players, but in SuperCoach terms, we're talking players that are priced at under 200K. Is that right?
Yeah. We've got a good list. I'd like to think here of players that we think are going to start round 1, or at least go real close to starting round 1.
Yeah.
Priced under 200K. Yeah, we'll sort of just go through it, chat through them, how they can be options, and see if they work for your SuperCoach team.
For sure. And where better to start? I better go to the rucks first. Then our 99K ruckman from St Kilda, Harry Boyd. Now, there's not going to be anything that's going to pop out at you on SuperCoach. You're going to have to rely on the research done by others in order to know what Harry Boyd's all about. But Deadly, you've done a lot of work on these rookies. His numbers in the Sandful are just out of this world, mate.
Yeah, ridiculous stuff. Priced at 99.1K, he averaged 159 SuperCoach points in the Sandful, which ridiculous. Averages of 20 disposals, 10 clearances, and 42 hitouts a game. And
That's nuts.
This is probably fair enough. He won the McGarry Medal, which is the Sandful's best and fairest. I mean, with numbers like that, it's hard to doubt that. And with the news coming out of recently, I think it was yesterday, Ryan Marshall, fractured pelvis, broken pelvis, something like that.
Stress fracture, yes.
Yeah. He's really in doubt for the start of the season. And even still, you wouldn't want to rush a ruckman, big, tall, lumbering guy like that with a stress fracture in a pelvis straight back in, and Harry Boyd's next in line. And at 99k, you can't possibly not pick him.
No, that's right. At 99k, and he's playing, you could accept scores of 50, but when you're talking Supercoach average for a whole year of 159 in the sample, which, mind you, is a very, very strong VFL type league in South Australia, it's not out of this world to expect 80s and 90s out of this guy. And you could, if you didn't want to leave those sorts of scores on the bench, he could be an R2 or a flex option.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's not like he's going up against these tragic ruckmen that don't play AFL. He put up 140 Supercoach points or something on Jordan Sweet last year. Like it's not like he's just playing these shockers. And he has as we know, St Kilda, great draw to start, and it's pretty good for ruckman as well. Adelaide, not the greatest ruck defending team, but they're still decent. Geelong are shocking. Richmond are okay. Port are shocking. It's like 99k. There's no point in not taking the punt and having him. And
100%.
if you start him at R2, fair enough. I'm thinking about doing the same thing.
100%, mate. Truer words have never been spoken here. Now, let's move on because we only want to spend a couple of minutes max on each player. We're both Essendon supporters, and a player at the forefront of excitement down at the hangar is Sardell Hawley. So last year, he averaged 26 disposals, 3 tackles, 7 marks in the VFL. For me, I think he has to play and has to play early. He's got dare, he's flashy, he's got good foot skills, he's got an ability to break the game open. Again, at a rookie price, DPP. Need I say anything more?
No, he would have played last year if it wasn't for the injury that he had. The Cinders most injury, he had the back end of last year, which honestly has worked out good for us because we can start him this year at a cheaper price, and there's just no reason not to with the DPP, and he's guaranteed a spot in that best 22 at Essendon.
100%. Elijah Hewitt, mate, at West Coast. I put out a tweet about him yesterday, Supercoach Horse on Twitter, if you're not already following. But I reckon this guy has real breakout potential about him. He started playing senior footy 2 years ago, so this is his 3rd year in the system. Has been hampered by foot injuries. He missed all of last year with that. But with Yo going down and him training with the midfield group now at West Coast, there's people talking about Jack Hutchinson. I would tend to think that this guy is probably ahead of Jack Hutchinson. And for me, I think this guy gets first crack when we're talking Elijah Hewitt. Clay Hall's another that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
He's just got that X factor that could break a game apart.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, when it comes to talking about replacements for Yo in that midfield, Hewitt and Clay Hall are my first two that will probably get a crack. You know, there's others like Baker will spend a bit more time in the mids. Yep. Jack Hutchinson, he played really, really well on the wing last year towards the back end. Had one real huge game. I think it was the last round. Scored 102 or something on the wing. I can see him more spending time out there than as an inside mid with these options that they do have. Like Clay Hall, they've got high reps on him. Hewitt, they've loved him for however long. They've really wanted to get him involved. And yeah, it's really like you probably just want to pick Hewitt. The DPP as well helps a lot.
It does.
He will probably have a spot in that best 22, you'd think.
Yeah, I would think so. We'll move on to Jager Smith. There's not really much more we can talk about this bloke. He averaged 27 touches in the VFL last year for Richmond. He is absolute Supercoach gold for us. And with Carlton having as many injuries as they have so far this preseason, Deadly, you would think that even if he's not first choice midfielder, he's just got a way of finding the ball, and he will find his way into that midfield rotation there at Carlton.
Yeah, 100%. You'd probably think he starts round one. They've already had heaps of injuries. Too many people have been moved around. Sam Walsh has gone down. He will probably be back for round one, but even still, maybe it's a bit less game time, just sort of manage that injury. Jagger will play, and as long as he's not the sub, you have to pick this guy. He scores Supercoach points and quick.
Very much so, very much so. Next man we're going to talk about is Dan Curtin, Deadly. Now, you've done a bit of research on this guy. We see here, I brought up the screen, share for those of you watching on YouTube, and for those listening on audio, I'll explain it. Against Port Adelaide, he had a 43, Brisbane a 9, 19 against Hawthorn, Geelong he had a 4, and then finished the year with a 52, 44, and 58. Didn't really play too much of a Supercoach friendly role at the back end of last year, but the encouraging thing, Deadly, is that he did get 5 games in a row to finish the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Those first 4 games he played in his AFL career were all sub-affected. So he only played, max 40 minutes in each of them.
Yep.
The last 3 games were really promising. He played almost 90 minutes in each, which I think he was playing, I can't remember, I think he was playing forward then, which still not great for Supercoach, but even still, he averaged 52 Supercoach points up forward. And that's already good profit from what he is, and he's had 1 session at halfback. He's basically trained full time in the mids now. I think he had a session today as a forward.
Okay.
But he's basically almost like Nix wants to get him in his rotation in the midfield, just that big body, huge frame, just get him involved around the ball.
Yeah, break-even projection of 29, so that's where he doesn't lose any cash. You just said he had an average of 52 at the back end of last year. It's not unreasonable to expect a second-year jump of 10 to 15 points. So even if he does average you 65 to 70 Supercoach points in your forward line, you're still going to make a couple of 100K there, which then enables you to use him as a stepping stone into a primo. So I don't mind that shout at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, Bo Allen. So West Coast picked up this guy in their first round. They traded back and still got the guy that they were going to take at number 2. So well done to West Coast for picking the man or grabbing the man that they always wanted, and while acquiring assets at the same time. When we're talking Bo Allen, though, Deadly, he's not a massive accumulator of the ball, but he can play a variety of roles. He can play inside, can play outside. They've also talked about his leadership and how he's a potential future captain of the club, that's huge raps for someone still in their first pre-season at the club.
Yeah, absolutely. They've spoken about how they can see a big future with Bo Allen. He's from the West. They want him to stay there for life, and there's a good chance he will if he just, he'll probably get into this team straight away. He'll stay there for a while. He'll get in good spots on the ground, whether it be in the midfield, a couple times a game, off halfback, out in the wing. 136K, you just pick him at the price, he's going to play.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. Joe Berry is next. Port Adelaide, 140K mid I've got up on the screen there. Powers, small forwards, outside of Willie Rioli, aren't great. Like, you've got Darcy Byrne-Jones and you've got Pau Pepper, who's coming back from a knee. I feel like this he's got something that Port Adelaide are missing. He's got that spark. He's got that edge. Yes, we're talking about a man in his first pre-season, but tell me if I'm blowing smoke up his ass for the wrong reasons, but he's been all the talk out of Alberton this pre-season, and they're loving his attack on the footy and his goal smarts.
No, you're completely right. I've seen a few clips of him, and my God, does he look good. He looks a proper good live wire forward for them. He's sort of got given an opportunity here. He's picked pretty highly, picked 15 or something. Yeah. But he's been given an opportunity due to the injuries, and in these match sims, he's pretty well dominated. In a recent match sim, he kicked 2 goals and set up a few others. He had a really nice chase down tackle on someone. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
And he's just shown all these good signs.
They're the kinds of things that stand out to senior coaches too, the second efforts and the chase down tackles. And it's not all about kicking goals and setting up your teammates. It's what you do when you don't have the ball. And I think the fact that he's doing those sorts of things and they're highlighted means that he's well in favour of the senior coaches down at Alberton. So for me, very, very interesting and keeping a close eye on him. Now let's move on to Essendon's number 1 pick last year, and Isaac Kakol. Very, very exciting, but we know what small forwards are like in Supercoach, Deadly.
Yeah.
We see there on the screen he's already owned by 49% of the community, so almost half of the community are going with him. How do you see this playing out? Do you see it being similar to a Nick Watson, a slow start and then finishing stronger, or because he's got a little bit more size about him, do you think he could do a little bit better than the Wizard himself?
Yeah, I think he'll definitely start a lot quicker than Nick Watson. Nick Watson had to adjust to AFL level. He's done really well for how small he is.
Mhm.
But yeah, Kako has a really nice frame, great half forward frame. Yeah, he's shown real glimpses of superstar potential already in a few practice matches at the hangar. Yeah, he kicks goals. His pressure's great. We've needed this half forward, haven't we? Needed someone
Yes.
like him, bit of a live wire. Yeah, you can start him, but don't expect him to be one of these guys that will be, 80-point scorer a game. He will be a pretty slow burn to his
Yeah.
200k profit.
For something that is often overlooked with rookies, they can struggle with travel early.
Yeah.
But as I've got up on the screen here, that Kako's first 10 games, or 11 of the AFL season, he plays twice at the G, once at Marvel, and then they're away at Adelaide Oval, and then away at Optus Stadium against West Coast. So Melbourne at Adelaide Oval in gather round. And then he's got rounds 7 through to 11 where he's at the MCG, 3 at Marvel, and then back at the MCG. So he's got a nice little split of playing footy indoors and then playing at the G. So the fact that he's playing a lot of footy at home, doesn't have to travel too far, can get accustomised to AFL footy while being close to home. I actually don't mind the pick, and it'll help him adjust to AFL footy a lot easier.
Yep.
Now, mate, we've got a little something that we want to show to the guys at home, and that's our Patreon. So we've started up a Patreon page where we've been writing up articles, putting down our thoughts, and there's some really good content in there, not just written by us, but you've got the Squid Man himself in there, our very own Dr. Insight, or the Insight Doctor's in there writing columns at the moment as we speak. Nerds for Life, Pete, he's written, an ex-sports journo, has written a couple of columns in there that are really good reading, and Silvertop Hurls, who finished in the top 1% inside the top 300 last year, putting his insights and his thoughts into how he's going about choosing his team this year. So listen to this hot guy from the US talk about what else we can offer you.
Want to take your SuperCoach game to the next level? Inside Fantasy Sports are bringing you exclusive content all year round, such as weekly expert Q&As, team, trade, and captaincy advice, statistical deep dives, priority podcast questions, and tons more. So what are you waiting for? Get full access to the experts. Go to patreon.com/Insight Fantasy Sports and subscribe to Insight Unlimited today.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, whatever we paid him for that, he deserves triple. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. While we're at it too, Deadly, we've got some head-to-head leagues going on too in the Insight channel. So we've got $25 head-to-head, a $50 head-to-head, $100 head-to-head, $250 head-to-head, a $25 points unlimited league, and also a $50 draft league, which is slowly filling. We've already had to start another $50 head-to-head league. The want for that is phenomenal, and we appreciate the support. If you're interested in jumping on board and being a part of a head-to-head league, send us a DM and we'll sort you out.
100%.
Now, Deadly, let's move on to some more rookies. Xavier Lindsay from the Melbourne Footy Club. Talk to me about him.
Yeah, he's been a bit of a weird one. I came into the preseason a bit injured. He got drafted injured, but he's been reported to be starting across half back. But then now something's come out yesterday that's sort of thrown me off a little bit.
The Caleb Windsor news.
In that Caleb Windsor is going, they want to try Caleb Windsor at halfback. So that says to me, who's going to be on the wing with Ed Langdon? And I can't really see anyone else, because they want to move Trent Rivers to a full-time inside mid. They'd want to keep Salem as halfback. He's a great distributor of the ball. They want to keep him there. The only way I can see it working is if they move Lindsay back out to the wing, or you move Tom Sparrow. But either way, it's not great for Lindsay if they want to try Windsor back there, because you'd rather him at halfback. At wing, I feel like you can probably get away with avoiding Lindsay.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one, mate. Yeah. James Leake, though. This guy's interesting. 8 games of VFL last year for the GWS Orange team for a SuperCoach average of 108.7. GWS have quite a few players who are suspended in the first 2 rounds too. So
Yeah.
I can see that he's going to get a go early. And the practice match or the intra-club that they had yesterday, he actually started on the ball. So I think at rookie price for James Leake, who is a defender, it sort of ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They've lost a few troops down back over the off-season. They lost Harry Perryman. They lost Nick Haynes, I think it is.
Haynes,
And
yep.
yeah, there's spots there to
And
be
coming.
filled.
Yep.
Yeah, and coming too. Yeah, there's spots there to be filled. And Leake's one that could pretty well easily just slide in down back anywhere. He can play pretty well anywhere back there
Yeah.
and do it well. I think there's a spot for him, and yeah, he kicks and marks well. It's good for SuperCoach.
Yeah. He was it his last game of VFL last year. He had 35 touches as well in like 75% game time.
Yeah, really, really good numbers.
Phenomenal.
Down there.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ashton Moir. He played a few sub-affected games at the back end of last year, but looked really promising, didn't he? And then you've got Curnow in doubt. Who's the young fella who got traded to West Coast? Their old small forward. Can't think of his name.
Owies.
Does this now open up a spot for Ashton Moir in the fortnight?
I think it does. They sort of wanted to get him involved a little bit towards the back end of last year. He looked really, really promising. He got sort of forced into playing almost a full game because in round 24, Carlton had about 8 injuries in the one game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lie. To play 29 minutes. But anyway, he was a sub. But yeah, in that game, he still looked really promising. In the 29 minutes he's fighting down the ground. Basically, he looked like Harry Mackay. And that's big raps for a young kid. But he really impressed me watching that game back. And I think there's a spot up forward with these injuries. And
for sure.
they'll want to implement him, I reckon.
Definitely watch this space for Moir.
Yeah.
Cooper Simpson. I'm a bit of a fan of Cooper Simpson. So last year, he started off pretty slow. It's fair to say. So a young bloke over at Freo, he's 109K when we're talking SuperCoach wise, but you know that someone's got some pedigree when they've given him the number 29 at Freo straight away. And for those of you that don't know, that's Matthew Pavlich's number, one of the greatest players to play for the Fremantle Footy Club.
Yeah.
He played 2 games last year, a 57 and a 17, which don't jump off the page at you. But this preseason, and credit Damo from the Footy Mailbag for this, he's been playing that linking role between the arcs, playing as a high half forward and using his ball use and his speed and his elusiveness for those forward 50 entries. And he's looking really good. So I highly encourage those of you listening to keep an eye on Cooper Simpson because he could be an underrated pickup. Whether you start him on field or not, I'm not sure. But if he averages you 60 to 65 for the year, again, he's making you 200K and he's going to allow you to step up into a primo once he does max out.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's talk about Josh Smiley, the man who has been a part of the Richmond rehab group for about a week and a half now, Deadly.
Yeah.
With that, it's not a dodgy hammy. It's just it's a hamstring awareness.
Yeah, he's got some sort of hamstring issue. Is what I've received.
But fuck, he's massive.
Oh,
he is Patrick Cripps 101, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I would actually be really keen to see that matchup. Yeah, no, big body, real huge. But this, I was really keen on him. I had him ranked as the number 1 rookie coming out. But he's been really affected by this hamstring to start, and he's been with the rehab group for different reasons, not just the hamstring. He's had other things. At the price, I think you can maybe get better options for a little bit cheaper, just because of that injury risk. There is a world where you still start him if he looks good. He'll be right from this hamstring issue by practice matches.
Yep,
but
I think you're right. But more to what you're saying, Deadly, you think of AFL players and how much it takes them to come back from an injury-interrupted preseason and who actually does well without a full preseason versus who doesn't. And I feel like while it's only 176K, it is his first year in the system. So I like your idea of just waiting to see how he goes to start with and then determining whether you're going to start him or not. But for me, talking right now, I think there's better value in cheaper rookies.
Yep, 100%. You can always, if need be, you can always, take a more of a punt on these mid-range guys, like your Olivers, your Cheras, all these guys. If one of them doesn't pay off by round 3, ship him to Smiley if he looks good. Happy days.
For sure. Elijah Zardes from the Essendon Footy Club. Mate, he averaged 149 Supercoach points in the NAB League 3 years ago. He's got a massive body about him now. He's looking really fit, isn't he? And from the work that you've done here, 31 touches, 4 tackles, 7 clearances on average in the VFL last year as an inside mid. You have to start him if he plays, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I think, who was it? Might have been Hurls. I can't remember. Whoever it was, I'll credit you later. But they summed it up great. If he has 50% plus CBAs in round 0, you're starting with him.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it was Hurls, yeah.
Yeah. If that's the case, if he gets 50 plus CBAs, starting with him, locking him in, price is good. He's due for a breakout season, you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to avoid the sub. And besides that, he's sweet. He'll make some money.
Which is a big, big point that we will talk about on a future episode when we talk about subs, and we're talking about the flex. So you won't want to miss that. Toby Travaglia from the Bendigo Pioneers. I'm a big fan of this guy, not just because he's a good bloke, but because of the way he plays footy. He's got an ability to switch between wing, half-back, and he also played a bit of forward with the Pies last year. So he knows how to play different parts of the ground.
Yep.
We've got the injury to Philippou. We've got the dislocated shoulder to Howard. There's a lot of injuries going on at St Kilda at the moment.
Yep.
I'm going to throw this to you. If this now means Sinclair goes into the midfield to cover for, remember, Paddy Dow's out injured as well. He's had a horrific run with injury, spent 3 weeks in hospital.
Yeah.
And then you've got Pooh, who's got the fractured femur, and he's out for up to 10 weeks. Does this now mean that Sinclair may have to play midfield alongside McRae and Steele, which then opens up a spot across halfback for someone like Travaglia? Or does Ari Schoenmaker? He's a little bit more expensive, but do these guys now become relevant?
I'll put it this way. I'm worried about Sinclair now. For just talking Sinclair, I'm worried about him. If he goes in the midfield, not too interested in him, but you can maybe get away with it still. But yes, I think there's a real good chance he plays in this midfield group now. I could see it being McRae, Steele, Sinclair, Windhager, and maybe someone else. I think Hunter Clark's injured too, but yeah, someone else. But in saying that, Dougal Howard being out, it opens a spot for Travaglia down back.
It does.
But he's trained down half back to start. He's trained on the wing a bit. I've seen reports that Darcy Wilson has been training at half back as well.
Which
I'm not too sure about. Just for St Kilda themselves, I think he's better suited to a wing. That run on the wing, he's real solid out there. But even still, Travaglia should have a spot. You'd think, especially with these injuries. It's just where, and at the price, I want to know where.
I like it. Caleb Smith from the Richmond Footy Club played a few games in the ones last year, Deadly. I've got the numbers up here on the screen. He scored a 57 against Port Adelaide in round 19, a 30 against Collingwood in round 20, and then an 8 and a 5, respectively, against Geelong and against St Kilda. Were they sub-affected games?
Yeah, he's played 17 minutes against Geelong and 28 against Saints, so I'd assume so.
Yeah. At 121K, training across half-back, potentially Dan Riolo's replacement. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's the one to get that Dan Rioli spot across halfback, pick him, lock him in. Don't throw away the key. But the problem is there's about 5 blokes chasing this spot. There's him, Sam Banks, James Trezzy. There's even a few other younger blokes who want to come through that are all fighting for this one Dan Rioli halfback distributor role.
That's right.
But yeah, if he gets it, take him. Just be wary.
We're going to move on to the Collingwood Footy Club here now. And Ed Allen, 194K, which may sound like a lot for someone that's played 2 games But as we can see against Freo, he scored 26 and didn't really do much. But then the last game of the year, he scored 94 against Melbourne.
Yep.
94 Supercoach points for someone that's priced at less than 200K instantly pricks up the ears. His preseason form's been pretty good too, Deadly.
Yeah, he's been training with the mids the A midfielders the whole time in Tom Mitchell's absence. And while Tom Mitchell recovers from his injury, if he recovers from his injury the way it's going, Ed Allen's the one to slot straight in to that midfield group. You'd think he performed really well against the D's in that last round last year. In a 5 midfield rotation, that was as well. So, he's not going to be the main guy in that midfield, obviously, with Nick Dacos, that a few others not going to be out, Jack Crisp. But still, 94 in a 5 mid rotation, that is insane work in my eyes. And you can sort of disregard that 26 because it was on the wing. He's not going to play wing if he plays. He'll be as an inside mid. And at the price, I really like the upside on him.
Yeah, for sure. Levi Ashcroft is next. He had some off-season shoulder surgery. He's back in training now and looking really, really good.
Yep.
I am still watching to see how he adapts to AFL footy. That Brisbane midfield's stacked. When you're talking McCluggage, when you're talking his big brother Will, when you're talking Dunkley, when you're talking Lockie Neal.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's just wait and see how he's going to play in that role at Brisbane, because I fear that while there is no doubt he's going to be a superstar of the league, where he plays on the ground is going to determine his Supercoach ceiling. So until we find that out, let's just wait and see there. Neil Erasmus, though, at 119K, Deadly. Talk me through some of the stats that you've got on him last year, because they are phenomenal. I'm
so excited about this kid. I really hope he gets full games. He won best and fairest for the Pure Thunder in the Waffle. He won the Simpson Medal, which is the grand finals best on ground in the Waffle. He averaged 28.2 touches and 7 tackles in the Waffle. And in that Waffles final series, I don't know how many times I've said it on a podcast, but it's insane. He had 167 in the semis, 172 in the prelims, and 181 Supercoach points in the Waffle final. And that ridiculous.
That's phenomenal, isn't it?
And that's against, people, fringe AFL players, near on actual decent AFL players that have been dropped. If he can avoid the sub, oh my God, lock in.
So 3 of the 4 games, was it, last year he was sub?
Yeah, he only played 1 full game, and it was against West Coast. He sort of got rotated inside, outside, mid. He didn't have a great game, I'll put it that way.
No.
But yeah, he went back to the Waffle, worked on his craft, and geez, I hope he's right for this season, because the way Caleb Sarong has been talking him and someone else up, I can't remember who it was, he's basically calling Neil Erasmus the next Messiah. He can't believe how good
Erasmus and Simpson. Yeah, they're the 2.
Yeah, Simpson, that's what
that we're talking about. Yeah.
He can't believe how well they play, how good their bodies are. If Erasmus isn't a sub, lock him in. Simple as that.
Mate, let's talk about someone who has burnt a lot of people in the past.
Yep.
But there's no denying the upside of this guy, and that's Zach Reid from the Essendon Footy Club. I put out a tweet about a week ago that it is my opinion, and I am entitled to my right or wrong opinion, but I think this guy is perhaps the best ball user for someone that's over 6'7" in the AFL. His hands are good. He can kick off both feet. He reads the game extremely well. He's just had a shit run with injury. If he can stay fit, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there is anyone that's actually better at that height. I can't think of any if there is. I'll look into that because I want to argue that. But still, Zach Reid, he's great. He is the main centerpiece in Essendon's defense that we've missed.
Yep.
And just if he can stay healthy, we need him, because Jordan Ridley going down yesterday, it's already shocking signs for Essendon in the back line. But it does mean Zach Reid will be the centre half back, you'd think, locked in. In 2022,
he had a stretch of 5 games where he didn't actually get hurt, or 6 games, sorry, because I had the bye, but he scored a 60, a 40, a 66, a 64, and then a 37 and a 33, and that was a couple of years ago. So I feel like with a more mature body, he could definitely elevate those numbers and help us score well. Tom Lynch, if he's a massive watch for me. So I'm going to bring up some numbers here. He was priced at 500K only 2 years ago, Deadly.
He was an All-Australian 2 years ago. He won. He was Richmond's top goal scorer 2 years ago. We know how great he is. We know how great he has been. The problem is he's really getting on now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he really cares about Richmond anymore. I think he just wants to get out of there. And his injuries are just... He'll be lucky to stay on the park in the first game at this rate.
For sure. But when we're talking upside, and I've brought up the 2022 season here before he was riddled with injury, when we're talking someone that's 183K, and he's got the upside of, say, a 3-game stretch here, West Coast, 167, Collingwood, 184, Hawthorn, 125. And then the last 4 games of the 2022 season, 123, 104, 177, 132. At 183K, he doesn't need to average those numbers. He can average 80 and make us 200 to 250K. And he is going to be the main man in Richmond's forward line, 100%. So if he stays fit, I can see 80s.
Yeah, okay. I can agree with that. It's just, does the ball get down there for him to kick goals?
Yeah.
Also, those numbers, those hundreds in the last 4 rounds, that's what everyone expected Charlie Curnow to do last year. So...
Oh, don't. That hurt.
So, I hope that brought back some bad memories for everyone.
Yeah, it did. Mate, the next one, we don't really have any numbers on this guy, but I think this is the year he pops. And that's Mr. Buzzlinger, first name Jed, from the Western Bulldogs Footy Club. And after the news today of a potential serious knee injury to Jason Johannesson, I reckon this opens up a spot for him. With injury comes opportunity, and I think this is where he needs to take it.
Yeah, I think there was a chance for him to even have a spot before Johannesson got injured, but with that injury today, he's probably one that will slot right into that doggies back line.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a chance that, with Tim English going down, Rory Lobb goes into the ruck. There's another backline spot that's got to be filled.
Yep.
They've got somewhat... it's hard to explain. But yeah, they want to include Busslinger a little bit, but he's not like the key guy. He's probably...
I think it's a contract year too, and he's from WA.
Yeah, okay. It's probably... Like, if there's someone comes back from injury or he slightly underperforms, he's probably the first one out of that defense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, if he only plays 3 games, gets 40K, and you're stuck stranded with him, he doesn't play the rest of the season, it's a little bit too much of a risk for me.
Yep.
I'll wait and see, though.
For sure. Jack Martin, 150K from the Geelong Footy Club. He'll take Gary Rowan's role. If we see that he's injury-free and moving well, this guy was averaging over 100 when he was at the Gold Coast Suns. You think it's worth a punt? I know they've got the early bye, which is a bit sore, but let's go back to, was it 2021? He was at the Gold Coast Suns? Or 2020?
Might be 2020. But yeah, there is a punt to be made. He's put up, as you can see on your screen right now on YouTube, for audio listeners, he put up to start the season in 2020, 107, 71, 127, 56, 121, 116, 85, 80, and 99 up to the bye, which extremely solid numbers. That's what you probably want, from a guy like him.
Yeah.
There is a spot for him. He probably will play, but at the same time, the points are sort of limited for him, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
He's got on a bit. He hasn't really had that great of opportunity. And I feel like there is better options at cheaper or around the price. But I don't blame you taking the punt.
Yeah. Do you know what I see here? I see Tyson Stengel 2.0.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that.
Someone who's because Tyson Stengel, let's call a spade, he was pretty ordinary, was out of the AFL system when he got picked up by Geelong, and they managed to spin him around and turn him into an All-Australian small forward.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to be an All-Australian small forward? No. But do I think that he can get back to 80s? Yeah. Yeah, if his body's right. He's very silky and very good around goals. So he's not in my side at the moment, but he's definitely on my watch list.
Yeah,
A couple of rookies here, Deadly, Leo Lombard and Sid Draper. Heard good things about both this preseason.
Yep.
Leo Lombard being the son of a UFC fighter. He does come with that aggression as well. We've seen in clips over the preseason that he loves a tackle and pushing his teammates around. So he's going to bring an edge to that Gold Coast forward line that's probably been missing as well. And Sid Draper, he's been really good on the track for the Adelaide Crows. And I think we can both agree that he looks odds on to be an early debutant there.
Yeah, I would agree. For Sid Draper, for sure, I reckon he'll be very close to debuting round one. Leo Lombard, I'm a bit skeptical of as well. There is probably... They're both pretty close if they're not starting round one. But I'm not willing to take the risk on either of them. Sid Draper, there's spots there that are already filled at Adelaide, and he's coming in trying to fill, a spot that's not vacated. They're trying to move Laird to half back again, which I rate, but it still doesn't really open a spot for Draper with Peatling and the likes coming in. Lombard's the same. If he plays, he's got contest for his position, and it's the same sort of thing as Busslinger, is that they could drop out pretty quickly. And it's just at that price, I would rather go someone a bit cheaper who's performed a bit better this preseason.
O'Driscoll, Nathan from the Fremantle Footy Club's next. I like him. 198K. Yep. We saw the last game of last year. He scored a 79 against Port Adelaide Footy Club at home. He's had a massive preseason. If he gets to start on the wing, I'm picking him. I think there's Jeremy Sharp 2.0 kind of areas for him.
Yeah, it's a risk in my eyes for wingmen and taking wingmen. It's just they're so limited points wise. Like Jeremy Sharp was a proper outlier the way he went about it last year, consistently scoring 70 plus. But at the same time, I'd rather I think he will lock down the other wing spot opposite to Jeremy Sharp. I think that's almost guaranteed in my eyes. But am I willing at 198K to take a wingman when there's some inside mids at like 170?
Yep. Yeah, good point. Christian Moraes from the Port Adelaide Footy Club too, young rookie, doing some good things on the wing and half forward for the Port Adelaide Footy Club, and has been likened in a way to Berry, and that they reckon he could start round one as well, Deadly.
Yeah, it's a good shot for him. I reckon wing's more suited for him. He's a real quick runner, runs for days. Yeah, I can see where he starts on the wing, and if he does 113K, I don't mind it. Like I'd rather pick 113K, like somewhat fringe wingman to Nathan O'Driscoll at 80K more expensive.
Yeah. The next player we're going to bring up is Clay Hall, 129K from the West Coast Footy Club. I think alongside Hewitt, this guy's got a real chance to go into the midfield rotation now that Yo's injured and will miss the first few rounds at least. Big midfielder, 6'3" from memory, just bullet a gate inside. We saw late last year that they moved Ruben Jinby to the halfback flank with good results as well. So I think West Coast are probably a little inclined to keep him there. With Dom Sheed aging, no Yo, Tim Kelly's going to have to wear the brunt of that work inside alongside Harley Reid. I think Clay Hall with a bigger body might be a good shout to at least get a crack in there early on.
Yeah, we sort of touched on it earlier with him and Elijah Hewitt and Jack Hutchinson. Yes, there is a spot there with Yo going down for West Coast. Some of these guys are probably not suited to it, but Clay Hall, they have spoken about him as the future let alone like they see. I've seen reports that they see him as Harley Reid's partner in crime in that midfield. They really rate his work. He accumulates the ball super well. The numbers aren't the greatest in the AFL, but he's played on a wing, which I don't know why, because he's a really solid inside mid. I'd
He's an
rather
insider.
him be in there. Yeah, I don't know why he's played on a wing.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm just hoping that out west they can knock some sense into the coach and start him in the mids, and we get a good cheapy midfielder at 129k
For sure.
and hopefully not
Sam,
get affected.
Fingers crossed. Sam Davidson's our next one. Won the Fothergill medal in the VFL last year, which is the VFL's most promising player. Knows how to kick goals. Has been playing in the ones side with the Western Bulldogs in the intra-club matches. Just watch this space on him. He does look good, though. Ben Patton is very interesting, Deadly. He's been at the forefront of all things Sydney this preseason alongside Callum Mills. They're really liking what he's doing there. And he's quite unique. He's a DPP, but defender forward.
It's a nice jewel to have.
Very nice jewel to have.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely wasn't expecting him out of all people to be training at halfback for Sydney. But yeah, the only thing is with him, like if he's starting, happy days, probably pick him, especially with that jewel. It's nice to have. He's got 60s in him. He will probably average. You'd say 60, right? Probably 60 is about his average, maybe 65. There's money to be made there. That's enough anyway.
I'll reel off some numbers from 2023, Deadly.
Yep.
In 35 minutes of game time, 27. In 92 minutes of game time, he scored 96. These are his first 11 games, mind you, of the 2023 season. In 40 minutes, he scored 22. In 93 minutes, he scored 36. In 80 minutes, he scored 61. In 88 minutes, he scored 46. In 103 minutes, he scored 65. In 75 minutes, he scored 59. In 102 minutes, he only scored 22 at Adelaide. In 48 minutes, he scored 34. And in 106 minutes, he scored 67. So we're looking on average there to be about 0.6 points per minute, I'd say. So if he's locked into that starting halfback, back pocket for the Sydney Footy Club, you could probably expect 60s out of him. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah, I think that's... If you get 60s out of him, you're probably happy with that. The only problem is just the contest back there. They've got, Blakey, Roberts. Sam Wicks has been training back there, which I think my thoughts on that. I really don't like that. Yeah, I can see Patton sneaking over Wicks for sure. They're probably the three. Besides that, there's not real much else going on now down back there. No. There's a few others that could get a game down back, but that's the main three. And if Patton's consistently back there, then I don't hate the pick at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to what could potentially be a diamond in the rough, I guess, for this year. And with the way West Coast is structured up this year, we've had reports again from Damo and our man SuperCoach Hawk, who was my co-host on this network a couple of years ago, that they've been trialling both Harry Barnett and Job Shanahan in the role that Tom Barrass played last year.
Yeah.
Now, we remember how well Barrass was in that role, so we're not expecting either of these ruckmen or bigger guys to have the immediate impact that he did. But when we're talking SuperCoach, Job Shanahan is 130k forward.
Yep.
When we're talking SuperCoach with rucks, Barnett is 119k ruckman. If either of these guys get first crack at that role, are you at all interested?
100%. I'm picking whoever it is. The way it's looking is one of them will probably replace Tom Barrass's spot.
Yep.
Which there is so much ball going to that spot a lot of the time. There's SuperCoach points on offer. And my God, if it's Harry Barnett, Harry Boyd, R2 is proper on. Because you can chuck Harry Barnett at R3, playing key back. There is a chance that he has ruck, defender, dual.
Come round 6. Yep.
Yeah, even Job Shanahan, defender, forward. I would take either of them, but it's just the only thing that concerns me is, do they rotate it? If they do, I'm not interested in either of them because that's just taking in and out, and I don't like that. I'd rather they pick one, stick with it.
Yep.
And yeah, I really wish Joe Shanahan just went to Essendon. Why didn't we match the bid?
Yeah. We're going to quickly move through these next few. Charlie Spargo is someone that sort of pricked my ears up a little bit. And when we spoke about this the other day, I'm not going to mince my words. You called me a dickhead, and then I'm out of this world. But at 135K, Deadly, let me give you some numbers for Mr. Spargo. So he got hurt last year, scoring a 36, and didn't play the rest of the year.
Yep.
In 2023, he didn't play the back end of the year, but he's got the potential of, he had a 4-round average of 62, 81, 56, 58, 56. Quite consistent with his high 50s, low 60s, 56, 55, 56, 60. If you're looking for some quick cash, I think you could do a lot worse than 135K Charlie Spargo. GWS the year before, 95. North Melbourne, 80. Brisbane, 77. So the ceiling's probably limited. But is there a space in the forward line for Charlie Spargo? And if so, do you think he can average your 60s?
There probably is, just because they've had him there for that long and they do like what he brings. I just don't like it. There's yes, he scored 60s in the past. He's been toiled with injuries. Last year was a full season of injury. The year before he had 3 injuries in the 1 year. I cannot trust that at all. And for a guy who's just going to score 60s probably on average at max, I'd rather take, a Patton or someone for the same price, going to score 60s, but, doesn't really have the injury risk that Spargo carries. Like, it's the exact same thing.
For sure. Zane Dersma from the North Melbourne Footy Club. That's a slow burn, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just safely fade him for now. 2 names that have pricked our ears this preseason with rookies, though. We've got 4 names left. Jasper Alger from the Richmond Footy Club, who is reportedly the best on track when we're talking rookies at the Richmond Footy Club this season, and he's quickly firming for a round 1 debut. So that's a name that you're going to want to keep your eye on at the Richmond Footy Club. But also Isaac Keeler. So when you brought this up a couple of weeks ago, Deadly, I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? Heard nothing. But he's been training in Battles, roll down back. Yesterday, he was trialled as the full forward at St Kilda.
Yep.
I think Ross sees a bit in him.
Yeah, well, I did a bit of research on him because, when I can't remember who it was, but they found out, one of the Insight boys found out that Keeler was gonna try and be one to replace Josh Bale, and we all sort of said in this chat, who the fuck's that?
Yep.
Like, who is this guy? I did a bit of digging on him. They really like him, and like his draft profile was seriously impressive. He uses the ball really well. Big, tall, lanky guy. He's got a decent frame on him. They really rate his foot skills, his marking ability, and if he's getting trialled in all these different positions, they want to find a spot for him, and he's real cheap, and I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, absolutely. A name that I want to bring up is Darcy Fort. So he's quite cheap.
Yep.
We could agree. So Darcy Fort for the Brisbane Lions is 190K. Yep. We know big Oscar McInerney had off-season shoulder surgery. But let's think back to last year. He had a ripper game in the grand final and only scored 68 SuperCoach points.
Yeah.
We see here, round 3 against Collingwood, 31. GWS, he scored 70. Didn't play for the rest of the year. I can confirm for you, ladies and gentlemen, that he is probably not going to be relevant because big Oscar McInerney is firming to start contact work next week and is due back earlier than expected. So if you're looking at Darcy Fort as someone who could potentially score you some good scores in the early rounds before Big O comes back, you're probably going to be shit out of luck because it looks like Oscar's tracking pretty well and
Yeah.
that he's going to be back sooner rather than later.
Yep. I saw some teams that were flying about with Darcy Ford as R1 and Harry Boyd at R2. It won't work out for you. Don't do that. Don't do that.
The last name we've got here, and mind you, ladies and gentlemen, if we've missed anyone, feel free to comment down below or join our Patreon. We'll do the work for you and find out the numbers and stats you need for the upcoming AFL season. But Sam Powell-Pepper is our last man that we want to bring up. So Powell-Pepper did his knee last year was it like round 8 or round 9?
I think round 9 sounds about right.
Yeah, nasty knee injury. He is tough, like really tough. Round 7 against St Kilda, he did his knee. Before that, he scored 81, 36. Didn't really came off. What's that? Sorry?
He was coming off another injury from the preseason as well.
But when we're talking the season before, let's look at some numbers, Deadly. 97, 89, 93, then 246s, 59, 82, 81, 74, 107, 96, 60, 91. Upsides there, but I think you can agree he needs midfield time for those numbers.
Yeah, 100%. And with sort of him getting confirmed that he's just going to be a forward, it's probably can safely avoid at the price.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing is that I forgot to touch on, is with these rookie-priced guys and these older guys, experienced guys that are rookie-priced, they're not as big as sub-risks as these mids. If you are seriously worried about the sub, you can lean on some of these experienced guys.
That's right.
Like a Powell-Pepper, if you really need be. And they shouldn't get subbed. As long as they're not injured, then they'll play full games and they'll still score decent enough points to make you some money.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our rookies for today. Again, if we've missed anyone, please comment down below and we'll do the work for you. Or better still, our Patreon. The link is in the description below. Click on that, send us a DM, and we'll do the work for you. Plenty of experts in there to help you top your leagues and to potentially win this year's 2025 AFL SuperCoach season. Anything you'd like to add before we knock off for the day, Dudley?
No, should be all good. I think we've covered all bases.
Yeah. Or something I will add before we do finish for the show is that my man down below has put together a very detailed spreadsheet on tagging. Who's been tagged, who they were tagged by, how many quarters they were tagged by, the points when they were tagged versus the points that when they weren't tagged. If you want to know all these numbers, because there are some numbers in there that are quite eye-popping, they're on our Patreon as of this evening, which by the time this gets released will be available for you at home. So that is something you're not going to want to miss. Our man has put hours into this document, and I don't like him, but I'm impressed with what he's put together. So,
gee, thanks, mate.
Yeah, if you're interested in what's inside that and a lot of other stuff, it's all in the Patreon. But for today, on the horse, down below is Deadly. We can't wait for footy to start, and we'll see you later this week when we start talking other team reveals. We'll see you then.